Illithids. The Illithids, also known as mind flayers, are a race of lawful evil amphibious hermaphrodites with powerful psionic abilities. They are greatly feared throughout the Underdark. Adult mind flayers stand about 6 feet tall or vaguely humanoid and have hideous mauve skin that glistens with slime. Their heads have pupilless white eyes and 4 tentacles encircling a round, many-toothed orifice resembling that of a lamprey. Each hand has 3 reddish fingers and a thumb. Mind flayers employ a wide range of psionic powers, including their widely feared mind blasts. In addition, their tentacles are adapted for latching onto the victim's skull and then burrowing into the brain. Illithids beget clutches of eggs that hatch into small, writhing, relatively helpless tadpoles. Tadpoles who survive a decade of life in the briny pools of the elder brains undergo ceremorphosis, a secretive process whereby they merge with a humanoid by consuming its brains. They then initiate a series of morphological transformations that result in the commonly seen adult form. Illithids are rarely seen elite mind flayers, found in 10% of the Illithid community. They quickly rise up to leadership. Elder brains are sentient, disembodied minds that reside at the bottom of the briny pools in which Illithid tadpoles are nurtured. An elder brain's cognizance stems from the brain tissue of recently deceased mind flayers. The tissue alloys into a united consciousness maintained by an intricate psionic science. The Alhun or Illithliches are rogue Illithids who practice sorcery. This process involves a transformation into undeath, after which the Illithliches gather into cabals for mutual defense. Ceremorphs, also known as Flayerkin, are one of the few successful crosses between Illithid tadpoles and another race. Known ceremorph successes include Mazgrekin, Zankandi, Europhins, and crosses between Illithid tadpoles and Snefniblin, lizardmen, and ropers respectively. Neothelids are leviathan slugs that result from Illithid tadpoles who remain apart from a humanoid. This incredibly rare event occurs only when an elder brain dies. Its Illithid community collapses, and a single tadpole survives the cannibalism of its abandoned kindred. Vampire Illithids are considered naught by a legend, but some claim that these undead horrors stalk the Underdark with the cunning of a rabid animal. Like most races, long residents in the Underdark, the origins of the Illithids are lost in the mist of history. Nevertheless, the tadpole form of their young suggests that they may have evolved in briny subterranean pools before developing the parasitic adult forms they now assume through ceremorphosis. Given the amphibious hermaphroditic origins of mind flayers, psionic abilities, and quadrenticle maws, some sages speculate that the Illithid may be distantly related to the aboleth. The former has evolved as a parasite capable of ceremorphizing with sentient humanoids, and the latter evolved to live without a host. In any event, the utter hatred mind flayers show for the sun indicates a long tenure with the tunnels of the night below, as does their widespread distribution throughout the upper, middle, and lower reaches of the Underdark. Despite their amphibious origins, adult mind flayers cannot breathe when submerged and do not dwell in wholly aquatic settings. As benefits their parasitic origins, Illithids are commonly found in damp caverns near larger enclaves of other sentient races on which they can prey. They do not dominate large reaches of territory. Some legends speak of a great world or plain-spanning Illithid empire that fell long ago, but evidence of any such empire incorporating the Underdark is spotty at best. Nonetheless, the hatred that the Githyanki and the Githzari evince for their former masters across multiple worlds indicates at least a kernel of truth in such tales. The center of every Illithid community, except those formed by Illithliches, is the Elder Brain. While a few particularly despotic Elder Brains oversee every decision that potentially affects the community, the majority are more passive, serving as consultants, advisors, and living repositories of the community's technology, history, and psionic expertise. Illithids form structured, ordered societies in which every mind flayer has its place and purpose. Individual groups themselves into ideological factions known as creeds. Major creeds include 1. Creatives who research and create psychic disciplines, items, and technology. Awaiters, those who favor patient, cohesive planning. Possessors, who seek wealth and an avenue to power. Tamers, who favor the exercise of military might. Thoroughbiters, who believe insight comes from analyzing failure. Nourishers, who treasure their thralls above all else. Abysmal, who gain power by inducing fear in thrall races. Influencers, who unearth secrets and sway opinions indirectly. Darkeners, who labor to extinguish the sun. Gatherers, who seek to reunite the disparate Illithid communities. Arisers, who seek to dominate the surface world. Venerators, who function as priests. Members of each creed seek to advance their particular philosophy, which often involves complex plots, psionically empowered devices, and new psionic devotions and sciences. Representatives from each creed make up an Elder Concord, which assumes important rulership duties. In its role as shepherd of the community, an Elder Brain is privy to every decision made by the Elder Concord, and has the power to propose course of actions, cast tiebreaker votes, and veto actions. Within its sphere of influence, each Elder Concord elects Illithid officials, including aldelators, who are responsible for running day-to-day affairs, quasitors, who are administrative finances and trade, invigilators, who direct security efforts. When the goals of more than one Illithid community overlap, the involved ruling Concord form a temporary body referred to as a Grand Elder Concord. The primary god of Illithids is Ilsensin, whose portfolio includes mental domination and magic. Some mind flayers venerated Manzo Korean before he was slain by Orcus. Unlike the theocracy of many other Underdark races, members of the Illicin's clergy simply form one creed among the many factions. Illithid cities constitute the largest communities of mind flayers, with as many as 2,000 inhabitants. Larger enclaves are rumored to exist in the deepest reaches of the realms below. Thralls make up at least 2.5 times the number of Illithid city residents, and cities are often initially mistaken for primitive communities of the predominant Thrall race. The city's outer facade occupies large natural caverns. The true Illithid city lies beneath the cavern floor or such slave communities. These deeper areas have an outer and inner ring. The outer ring connects to the Thrall caverns and is composed of a wide quarter encircling axial plazas and Illithid private dwellings. Along the outer ring are chambers that serve as armories, Thrall barracks, arenas, theaters, treasure vaults, laboratories, temples, water supplies, and bazaars, each administered by Illithids of the appropriate creed. Each axial plaza is wide, highly spherical chamber constituting the prime area of social congregation for the Illithid population. Private dwellings are carved into the walls and ceiling of the chamber. The floors of each plaza holds a series of wide, shallow basins for relaxation with attendant eating stocks for easy feeding. The city's inner ring sits beneath the axial plaza, completely encased in stone, accessible only through magic or psychoportive psionics. The inner ring houses birthing pods, reserved for individual tadpoles during ceremorphos. At the center of the inner ring is the pool of the city's Elder Brain, the physical and spiritual heart of the city. The Elder Concord meets and plans around the edge of the Elder Brain's pool. Illithid architecture is given to smooth, curvy surfaces carved to resemble brain tissue and bas relief. The carving is overlaid with a continuous line of qualith, a writing system based on texture and touches that consist of 4 striated lines, each alternately solid or broken, which Illithids read by running their tentacles along it. Long before stumbling on an Illithid community, explorers will likely encounter regular patrols led by vigilators. Patrols include one or more Illithids, heavily armed thralls, and various servitor creatures, as discussed below. Because Illithids often mount regular expeditions into the wilds of the Underdark for trade, acquiring knowledge or hunting new thralls, they are often encountered far from their communities. They are heavily prepared when so encountered. While they may sometimes treat non-Illithids as peers if doing so improves trade or delicate negotiations, Illithids regard other races as thralls, beasts good only for menial tasks and nourishment. Nevertheless, Illithid communities often establish trade relations with their prey, seeking information, magic, psionic devices, sentient brains for psychic nourishment. Every Illithid has, at minimum, 2 personal thralls. The community also possesses a thrall militia and a general thrall pool, each of which normally contains a number of slaves equal to 10% of the privately owned thrall population. The racial makeup of an Illithid's community's thrall population varies, but generally speaking, Illithids try to keep their thrall racial mix limited to 1 or 2 races, so as not to imperil slaving breeding programs. Common thralls include Grimlocks, Drow, surface-dwelling humanoids, Koatoa, and Darrow. In addition, servants such as brain golems, cranium rats, Gulbrawn, intellect devourers, Mozgrekin, Neurala golems, Ortlings, Zakandi, Europhans, and vampire squids are known.